Next up is our eHealth Catalyst, and we will have Elaine Haher from Ericsson, who will take us through the eHealth Catalyst. This is the second in a series of catalysts on the eHealth zone. Elaine has been working very actively in the Internet of Things collaboration program and is a significant contributor to that program. She's also in the past won Outstanding Contributor Awards, and I welcome Elaine Haher. Thank you, Elaine.
Okay, hi, I'm Elaine Haher from Ericsson, as Joanne described. I'm going to introduce the topic of eHealth, bridging the divide. So we have a collaboration project team working on eHealth, working with many of the members of Team Forum. And this particular catalyst is to put some reality around how we can marry what the operator does with the healthcare industry. So being able to partner to enable care at home for the patient. So eHealth industry has really moved from a totally centralized industry to a more distributed industry. Locally, you've probably seen the emergency medical centers in your hometown. Certainly, you now see lots of folks walking around wearing Fitbits or any of the other types of wearable devices. So we see that digital services are becoming important in the healthcare area, and that there are the healthcare providers, the patients, the pharmaceuticals, hospitals at home, automated kiosks, all kinds of things are going on in this centralized healthcare environment. So we also see the touch points between each of these partners. So we have the B2B relationships, the B2C relationships, and the B2B to X relationships of the patient with the brick and mortar healthcare providers, but also with the home care devices and also the pharmaceutical companies, and then some of the settlement and payment companies that are involved in the healthcare industry. And it's all about moving from data silos to more distributed usage of the healthcare data and being able to get the right data to the right stakeholder at the right time so the patient receives the healthcare that they require. So we're utilizing the Team Forum frameworks to set the stage for partnering between all of those healthcare providers and the operators to deliver both primary prevention, acute prevention, secondary prevention, chronic care, all the way out to acute care. And it's all about the end user. So what is the end user going to get or utilize in this situation? The end user will be downloading an end user application, and that's how we reach the patient in this case. But we're utilizing the standards for shared information data model for storage of products, services, and resources. And we have lots of product offerings that are either delivered by the operator or by the healthcare providers. And then the partners are supplying some of the wearables and the monitors and the analytics devices in this healthcare initiative. The Team Forum has put some effort into supporting engaged parties, and that engaged party is part of the new shared information data model. And we're utilizing the engaged party to support all different types of partners. So suppliers of product offerings, developers that build the end user application, resellers of the service bundles or the end user application, and then the enterprises themselves. So the enterprise might be the National Health Society. The enterprise might be the brick and mortar hospital. And when we onboard these partners, we set up the partner account, we register the partner, and we make it easy for the partner to sign an agreement and onboard their services and then be able to manage each of the partner accounts. So we have lots of touch points between each of the partners in these situations. And those touch points have been defined by the Team Forum to manage the supplier-partner engagement, agreements, settlement accounts, billing accounts, onboarding capabilities, and then managing the developer journey of the actual end-user application. And each of those touch points We set up APIs in order to be able to manage the communication between the partners. So our care at home application, some of the topics that we're addressing in our storyboard are partner onboarding, the catalog-driven approach to delivering those services and being able to deliver the execution of the services in real time. The end user application itself and the fact that we're taking the order from the end user application. So we're no longer taking an order at the operator's portal or CRM site. It's actually out in the hands of the patient who's downloaded the application. And then being able to take that order and orchestrate that order. So being able to orchestrate the order to multiple partners, get the responses back from those partners, and be able to deliver the service to the patient. And then being able to have some real-time authorizations and authentication so that we can deliver a nurse on site to a patient when their readings are out of whack. So now I'm going to hand it over to Dungju from Verizon, and Dungju is going to go through the technical pieces of the Catalyst.
Sure. Hi, nice everyone. So for what Alan just described, the eHealthcare ecosystem is a very comprehensive system, and we will have a lot of service providers on the market, and also have a lot of technology providers on the market. How we can harvest all these services and to create an ecosystem to provide in the patient a transparent experience. They don't need to know what who are providing, and they don't need to know how this works, but they just get what they need for their health. So we pick up some typical use cases for this Catalyst. So we have some product offers from Cisco for the direct healthcare services, and we also have some product offerings from the operators, which give the service provider and the need for messaging, for storage, and all those operation needs. So with all the catalog management APIs, and we have all the services federated into Verizon's catalog, and then be able to let the partner supply the offers the patient can subscribe to. The first thing is the partner engagement. And the partner onboarding is actually an important step and to start all of those activities. And with Ericsson's ecosystem partner portal, and this process is actually a pretty easy process and it's also a standard process. And we have the registration and also the template for the agreement, and also have the standard way to add the services and to specify and what APIs is available and to get into the services, process the services. So finally, and you can also get to the financial perspective and how the revenue gets collected, or how the charge will be processed. So those onboarding process is enabling those service providers and device providers, all those technology providers be able to easily get on board and to this ecosystems. Now, with all those providers sign up, and with all those healthcare product offers, and from those healthcare partners, and with also the operation product offers for the messaging, storage, billing, authentication, and also workforce, mobile workforce management, we are able now to enable service administration and to be able to create their application for the patient. So let's say that NHS have a developer and is going to partner with Verizon to provide the services, and they're going to they're going to the application and to select what services they want to subscribe to, API want to subscribe to, and to create a process and a workflow, and to enable their patient download the application and be able to select what they need, and then get the service registered. So now a patient comes in, which is Eric. So now let's see, let Ellen explain to you how a patient experience.
Thank you, Dungeon. So Eric is an elderly man, and he needs to get care at home. His doctor said, please download this application. You have some readings that need to be monitored on a daily basis. He may be a diabetic. It may be that he has heart problems, but he wants to utilize the application at home to do some of this home monitoring. So Eric is going to download the application, and here's an example of the application. It's called Care at Home, and we allow Eric to download that app, just like any other app, onto his iPad, and register himself as a subscriber to the application, and then be able to set some privacy and consent settings, because we need to know where we can share the data that we collect, that we monitor. So we'll determine from his settings that we can share his location, so that way we can dispatch a nurse to his location. We also can share the information with his doctor, but he has selected to not allow us to share that data with his pharmacist. We can also share the information with his family, and we submit those privacy settings. So those privacy settings will, in the ecosystem, utilize an API for authentication, consent, and privacy in order to enable those within the application. Eric also wants to place his order. So the order is actually on this application. You can see at the top, we have an eHealth monitoring premium product offering. We have an eHealth monitoring plus and an eHealth monitoring basic. Eric has selected the premium because it includes the premium data plan, because he plans to have a lot of data being collected on a daily basis. Eric also gets to choose the type of services to be monitored, and the types of services that he chooses will determine what devices get sent to his home so that he can utilize those. So he can choose that he chose the blood pressure monitoring, the glucose monitoring, and the activity monitoring, and then he hits the submit button, and then the order process back at the operator, which in this case is Verizon, would begin. So that multi-party order orchestration is a process of delivering the instructions to each of the partners within the ecosystem that are part of the application. So although Verizon accepts the order, Verizon then takes the catalog to derive the rest of the information about the order, so the information about the products and services and resources, and then determines how to orchestrate that order out to the other systems. So in this case, we can see we have the request from the customer, and that request from the customer is the product order. That product order is coming in using the TM Forms order management API, and the information in that API, or the format of the API, is in the top right quadrant. It has information about who is the customer, what is the product offering that he purchased, and some of the other selected items that come in on the order, so the blood pressure monitoring and the glucose monitoring and the activity. And that information then it gets deciphered, and some of the requests go out to the Cisco system for provisioning the healthcare parts of the order, and some of the order goes out to Ericsson to provision the messaging and the cloud storage. And then some of the requests go out to base N for the monitoring and the devices. So the orchestration is multi-party, and all of those responses need to come back from those parties in order to deliver the service to Eric. We're also utilizing the catalog management APIs for both getting the product offerings and for getting the product specs. So we're utilizing the ordering API and the catalog management API in order to deliver the order orchestration on the multi-party order. So the end user application is where the order is placed. Verizon does the catalog-driven orchestration, and multiple parties have multiple order managers are being used at each of the partners in order to actually deliver those services. So an order manager at the Ericsson site and an order manager at the Cisco site and an order manager at the base end site are all using the order management API from TeamForm. And once the service is run, Eric then is taking his blood pressure, getting his glucose readings, and he receives SMSs from his physician reminding him to take his medicine. And when his monitored information starts to go out of line, the Orange system has provided, as a partner, the authentication to authorize the dispatch of a nurse on site to Eric. So our use case is utilizing the healthcare devices from Medisana in order to deliver the monitoring for Eric, and we have the Medisana devices here on site at the show. We have the Ericsson components for the messaging and cloud storage, the base end system to view the measurements that were monitored and to provide the historical data. Verizon is keeping the service status, the health status, and the reporting on any emergencies. And Orange is doing the authentication and the dispatch of the nurse. And the health providers are working on the patient prescriptions and the patient notifications. So the value of an ecosystem. So why did we put this together? Well, we're starting to build these ecosystems, and I think over time we'll see that these ecosystems will either be managed by the operator, or they may be managed by cloud service providers. They may be managed by the healthcare or enterprises. But the result here of this catalyst is that we're utilizing the standards to drive the standard way for us to be able to deliver ecosystems of this type. So getting standardized interaction between the parties without the deep need for knowledge of frameworks all the way through, right? Allowing those healthcare providers to take advantage of some of these APIs, REST APIs that we've developed in order to do the interaction with the ecosystem. We're managing digital services rapidly and efficiently without needing to deal with the complexity of the partner's business. We're telling them the instructions to orchestrate the order and getting a response back. So we're managing the touch points between the partners, but not getting involved in how the partner has to deliver. And the whole goal here is time to market for the end user application, getting better time to revenue for each of the partners within the ecosystem, and eventually we'll need to work on the settlement and the payments between all of the partners. That would be a good next step. And we're really integrating healthcare data along with the operators' capabilities to manage that data, all in an ecosystem approach. So thank you for your time.
Excellent. Thank you, Elaine. So this is the first in a series of catalysts, isn't it? You presented, sorry, the second in a series of catalysts.
For the IoT, yes.
Yes, correct. What are your plans for the next stream?
For healthcare in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a survey going out to find out some of the deep business problems with each of the healthcare providers. So there's been the team's been meeting to find out what should be the next focus area for this catalyst. We've heard that folks would like us to do more work on this and provide more of the APIs. So being able to do maybe the charging and billing APIs, the usage APIs for the usage of the APIs within the application. So we may try to bring in more of the REST APIs that we've been developing. So there are about, I think there's like 13 or 15 APIs now that we've been working on in the different groups for IoT.
We appear to have reached a particular juncture with regards to the development of these APIs. So initially they were quite conceptual in this early phase, but now, like you mentioned, we've 13, 15 APIs, we've got a library of APIs, they appear to be stable, they're now embedded within commercial products. What, in your view, is the key single or multiple things that we need to do to gain widespread adoption of these APIs to get, so that we can realise, your example here en masse, really, across the industry?
So from an Ericsson perspective, we have a few releases coming out in the first quarter that support a lot of these APIs ourselves within the vendor products. But the main driver here at this Catalyst was to have Verizon as an operator actually implement both the catalog management API and the order management API. So I think it's as we start to pull the operators in, we can start to build these ecosystems because they've started to now implement the APIs themselves. So I think if we make it easy enough to build an ecosystem for our partners to also onboard information and start to utilize the APIs, that is key. So we have some inroads into bringing more healthcare device providers into the Catalyst, talking to more of the healthcare providers so that we can start to onboard them. But it's also key that the operators start to use these REST APIs in their implementations of their catalog and order management systems, charging and billing, and assurance capability.
Excellent. Thank you, Elaine.
Sure.